better for the Kansas City Chiefs this offseason. They locked down their future in Patty Mahomes.
You got Jones, then Kelsey, and Mahomes signed for like half a billion. You got players on your football team buying baseball team.
I'm surrounded by baby toys. Like Patrick Mahomes is surrounded by guys who on offense are some of the best in the league.
Oh no, let the defense go. Let the defense go.
If Patty does what he does, and he has one less guy on offense.
And Kansas City, I thank you.
Alrighty. Welcome into the weekly windup. How is everybody doing out there? Thanks for tuning in and joining myself, Derek, from the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast, and the one, the only, some may say the man, the myth, and the legend, Rum Boys Robbie, joining us today here as well. He's the co-host here, and often imitated, never duplicated. Joining the SportsMe Weekly Windup here. Robbie, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. About to get the first pump of the year out the way, so excited to go hit the gym here in a little bit and get that going. Because once you start a habit, like you guys downloading the SportsMe app and making content on the SportsMe app, it becomes part of your routine. So time to get in the habit and get a little swole this year. So.
There you go.
Yeah.
Make it happen, Captain. So.
Yeah, we got the celebrity game in August, the fantasy football celebrity game. So time for me to get my ass back in shape. I got it's January now. I got like 8 months. It's time for me to get my ass back in shape, football playing shape, and put my flags back on, put my cleats back on, put my mouthpiece back in, and show these youngins how to do this, son.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. My playing day shape is long behind me, my friend. I don't know that I can quite get down to that, but worth a shot here in the new year. I suppose we'll see what we can try and make happen there.
There'll be some other contests at the Fantasy Football Expo this year. That we'll have. Like we're thinking about some different things. Maybe bringing back the punt, pass, kick. Type of shit. So. It's gonna be dope, but I'm excited. NFL regular season just pretty much just about done. We only got 2 teams that need to get locked in and finalized. So guys like you and I, we get like this not long, but like very little like brief break. Like it's like we get to like enjoy the or we get to enjoy the Super Bowl and the Senior Bowl, and then. Like right around like Senior Bowl time, we're like kind of slowly getting back into the driver's seat of doing scouting and analytics. So it's going to be exciting in 2022, man. I'm excited.
I mean, you can speak for yourself. Well, as soon as we're already over at the Good Old Boys, we're already moving on and starting to look towards next season here to see what we can do on helping viewers and listeners try and win them cash trophies. You know how we do it over there. But
get yourself a break. Trust me, man. I've been in this industry 5 years, bro. Get yourself a break if you can. If you can take a week or 2. Do it. Trust me, man. Trust me.
Absolutely. Well, I'll have some. We'll make sure we make some time for some things there. Absolutely. But speaking of which, since week 17 just wrapped up, it's time for the trophy count. There. How many ships did you bring home?
I landed in out of my 40 leagues. I landed in playoffs in like 8. Made semis in 4. Made the finals in 2 and won 1.
There you go.
Yeah, placed second in the other one, obviously by 2 points. By 2 points, all because that damn Ronald Jones got hurt, and because of that, if Ronald Jones doesn't get hurt for maybe 3 more plays,
there you go.
I beat him probably by like a point. But
yeah, I had a very good championship season myself, but I ended up losing 1 this past weekend, and it was a roster that had Jamar Chase on it, and I still managed to lose that championship. So
that burns.
I went up against Rashad Penny, and then I had several performances like Ronald Jones and Ezekiel Elliott and Matthew Stafford, and I just had a lot of players not show up outside of Jamar Chase. So, who, by the way, Jamar Chase is an interesting move there, and there's a
Dude.
very hotly contested debate going on the SportsMe app right now. Just posted today. So if you guys, perfect time to download the app, head over there and do it. Some of our partners over at BetQL are thinking that somebody else besides Jamar Chase should win the Rookie of the Year this year. And it has been a very hotly contested debate going back and forth, and several folks in and out of that one. And we're starting to see a lot of folks chiming in for the second, third time, even on a lot of these things. So always a fun discussion, always a fun deal. So make sure you're downloading the app, getsportsme.com, and check it out. But yeah, Robbie, I did pretty well as far as my my championships go. There, I finished with six titles this year, 3 runners up, and I'm still in contention for one, which was a 2-week championship
Nice.
over week 17 and 18 here, and I've got a 10-point lead heading into week 18. So there might be 7 titles that I'll hang on my mantle this year, which I'm a fan of.
If I were in a league that did a week 18 championship, I would rage quit it.
Yeah, it
I'd
was.
fucking rage quit it.
I didn't realize that until we actually got into the playoffs and realized
That's
that there
how it always works.
it was 2-week playoffs for the entire thing, and so we're starting, and so we played week 17, and then we'll play week 18, and there's a common joke that we always make on our show with the Matt Flynn week is what we call it, because I
Oh my
beat one of my
god.
co-hosts with Matt Flynn's career day over there on that one. But we've got a lot of really kind of cool things going on here. And speaking of Matt Flynn and the quarterback, let's go ahead and we got a video that got posted on the SportsMe app where it was talking about QB moves that you're looking to make. And let's go ahead and go to the video.
SportsMe, what's up? It's Sam Daring again here. Which free agent quarterbacks, you think are going to be on new teams this year? I think the Steelers should be calling Gardner Minshew or Marcus Mariota. What do you guys think?
Sam, what's good? Yeah, the Minshew moxie is an interesting thing. I just like him as a character, so I'd love to see him play and start somewhere. But I think Jameis Winston's a free agent this year, unless I'm mistaken. So I think he's probably the most talented free agent quarterback that will be available. We'll see if the Saints re-sign him.
There's going to be 4 or 5 free agent quarterbacks that are going to be starting for new teams next year. The big one for me is Jimmy Garoppolo. He's in too high demand. The 49ers want to move on and start the Trey Lance era next year, and they're going to try to get something for him. Russell Wilson, not a free agent, but he's going to be moving too. A lot of movement, I think. Jameis Winston, he's going to be moving. Cam Newton, he'll be moving. Minshew, moving. All these guys have potential to start next year too. Big moving day.
Well, I'm in the same boat that Derrickson. I'm thinking like backup, turning it into a starter. So, what about the man that's right behind Josh Allen for a year, former Chicago Bears starting quarterback Mitchell Trubisky? What if Mitchell Trubisky ends up on a new team? I'm pretty sure he only signed a 1-year deal with Buffalo, so that's a possibility. Obviously, we talk about Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy G. But what if the Eagles actually get in the Russell Wilson sweepstakes? What if Hurts is in Seattle next year?
So some interesting takes there. Robbie, what do you make of it?
So I think that this year there's going to be a fuck ton of movement. I'm just going to keep it blunt and honest with you. There are a lot of teams with quarterback questions. There are a lot of teams that have paid big money for quarterbacks that are not going to repay those quarterbacks big money. There are quarterbacks that are currently not free agents that are not in situations that they're happy in, that are going to leave. Those that have followed the Rum Boys Fantasy Network, I have been infamous for stapling that Russell Wilson wants out of Seattle. He is playing to get out of Seattle. He wants out. He is done. His wife, Sierra, is done. I get they have a lot of investments, tons of investments, from ranging everything from sports teams, things that provide them income, all the way ranging to charity work. But doesn't mean they still can't maintain those things in a different city. His wife is a celebrity. I think New York could be calling their names. I think that Daniel Jones will not be in New York anymore. I do not think that Daniel Jones is going to be in New York, period. Not even as a backup. I think they're done. They're done with the Daniel Jones experiment. They're done with the David Gettleman experiment. New York's about to blow the whole shit up, okay? I think that Russell Wilson finds his way to New York somehow, some way. If it's not New York, then maybe it could be New Orleans. His wife is from Atlanta. If she can't get back to home, get back to the South, via Atlanta or a Florida team, then I see the Saints being the next best option. And maybe we see something where they have property in it. Well, I'm sure they already have property in Atlanta because she's Sierra. But maybe, they have property in Atlanta or they buy property in New Orleans, something or the other. Maybe, they keep their property in Seattle as well, because that's where, Russ has established a lot of his fan base. They have a lot of their businesses, so on and so forth. So maybe we see something of that nature. But that's what I think that is the biggest move. A lot of these backups could be moving here or there. That stuff it's whatever. Those people will probably not likely even start for whatever teams they go for. Garoppolo will go somewhere and he'll start for a team. I think Atlanta looks to maybe move on past like Matt Ryan. Washington needs to figure out a quarterback situation because Heineke ain't it. Watson is still going to be available, and he just recently made a rare public appearance, like what was it, last night or some shit like that.
He was out with his girlfriends for her birthday, I believe.
Yeah, for his girlfriend's birthday. Like, and clearly they're still together. Like, if he's making a public appearance, it sounds like that maybe something or the other could be happening to where he's okay to play next season.
It'll be interesting because I think he's set to give a deposition, things like that after the Super Bowl is all said and done. So I think there'll be a lot of clarity that happens around that one this off season. And we'll see what that looks like going forward in there. So yeah, the QB carousel is going to get very, very interesting when it's all said and done here. And it used to be back not even 5 years ago that you didn't really see the quarterback position move much, especially big name players. You very rarely saw move, like Peyton Manning as a free agent. Like that was like one of the very first big names that hit there. It usually always happened via like a trade or something like that, but very rarely did you see these quarterbacks actually change teams and move. And if it did happen, it was usually towards the tail end of their career.
Yep,
where
it was always an ass in their career. Yeah.
Yep, it was the Brett Favre with Aaron Rodgers.
Joe Montana with the Chiefs,
and Steve Young pushing him out. All of those types of things where they had an established backup that they were ready to move on to the next era, and then trade the guy away. But very rarely did we see guys actually hit the open market and or make big splashy trades like we saw with Matt Stafford and the Rams last year.
Yeah, I mean now, and we also have to remember too, there is two things are happening right now on polar opposites of the end of football, and the diehard football fans are going to love what I'm about to say. This take that I'm about to bring up. You have the old guard that is retiring and has been retiring. Okay,
right.
We saw Breeze leave last year, Rivers previously before, yada yada, et cetera, et cetera. Roethlisberger this year. You have Aaron Rodgers and Brady, who will probably play like maybe 1 or 2 more years, and then they're riding off into the sunset. So you're having a lot of these teams, and that's the first end. That's on the old end, okay? On the young end, right now you're coming into a draft where it's not a skill position draft per se, but that's what
it's
analysts.
Not deep at it. That's for sure.
Yeah,
not
that's
like
what
we've seen the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's what analysts, like yourself, myself, the Marcus Grants, the James Coes, the Florios, all of our friends, that I pretty much just fucking named the whole NFL Network crew. You can tell clearly you can clearly tell who I'm friends with. That wow, hell, Barry has even stated though, and B has even stated, this isn't exactly the skill position draft. Keith Cummings has stated it. So many guys, Mel Kiper, the Travis Clay, so on and so forth. So I bring this up that on that end, you are also dealing with someone in that class is going to shock the whole world. We're all going to be shocked. I don't think it's going to be Sam Howell.
No, I have thoughts on that, but no.
Yeah. So it's the sport and at the NFL level is about to get very interesting right now. And we're about to see a lot of movement because you're about to have a lot of teams just start blowing up their operations. We're about to start seeing a lot of receivers be very unhappy because they're going to be like, who the fuck is throwing me the ball? Because you're not getting quarterbacks you're getting these quarterbacks that are coming in and they're reading from the safety down where, a lot of these veteran guys, they've been doing it so long. They're challenging the safety. They're like, I know that you're coming down. Go ahead and just do it. They're reading coverages from the front to the back. They're more experienced. They're knowing how to fit the ball to their receivers via hand placement, where the receiver's hands are going to be, make it super easy and efficient for receivers. Receivers are about to have to start adjusting because of these younger quarterbacks. You're probably going to start seeing higher injuries because guys are going to be getting tossed into tighter windows and fucked up coverages because you don't have these veteran receivers like Brady and Rodgers anymore that know how to keep receivers safe.
Yeah, you're probably onto something there too. Plus, it's always an interesting thought there too, because of the fact that you're going to see several, big name type of receivers hit the market this year. The question becomes: is do these teams use the franchise tag on them? Which, we've seen a lot of guys over the last few years put the get franchise tag at the receiver position more so than we used to ever really see. That was not really a position that got franchise tagged all that often. But the last few years we've seen that hasn't really worked out for the organization or the player, as far as once they get franchise tagged there. So at that point, let that player hit the open market. Trust in your process and sign them back there. I know that they're going to be looking for the big time deals, but if you're franchising tagging them, you're paying them. You're paying them buku bucks to begin with for a single year. You might as well pay them buku bucks and get them locked up for 2, 3, 4 years in a lot of cases there. So
yeah. Also, by the way, to add more validation to what I was saying, for all y'all at home, a little homework assignment for y'all. Look at the average age of the quarterbacks that are in the playoffs right now.
it'll
a lot of youth.
Yes, sir. So let's go ahead and we got some. Speaking of youth, let's go ahead and head to a bowl game where some BetQL throwing some bowl knowledge out there and some bowl pick'ems, and let's see how they did.
How you doing, guys? Michael Jenkins, co-host of the Daily Tip from BetQL, presented by BetMGM. Let's make some late night money tonight. Lay those 7 points with the Wisconsin Badgers.
This is as good of a lock as any.
I definitely believe that all the Big Ten teams can cover in tonight's matchups.
Can they get it done? Can they score enough points to cover that spread?
If there's one thing that Wisconsin can do, it is just blow teams out in games that ultimately don't matter that much.
I wouldn't be surprised if this game ends up being like 17 to like 13 or something like that.
Yeah, but who has Wisconsin really played offensive juggernaut-wise? He gave it 41 to Notre Dame. Oh, wow. 38 to Michigan. Woof.
Never bet on the Pac-12 during bowl season.
So some very valid points there. I did like Derek at the end saying don't bet on the Pac-12. And if you were betting on the Pac-12 this bowl season, you were very disappointed. So some sage advice there. And they called this spread dead on the nuts with this one, where it was exactly a 7 point.
7 points.
So a push bet here, which you don't see many push bets actually happen out there.
No, yeah, it was definitely a push. I I that says something about their model and their algorithm, and the work they put in. But damn, is that close? Like right on the head. Right on the head. Wisconsin's always been a run first team. So I mean, with a lot of the talent they produce, out of their backfields over the past
Over the last 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And longer than that even. Most of the time, they don't necessarily, turn into star running backs at the NFL level, but they are definitely serviceable
So
backs at that level. And Wisconsin, they do some really good things. They have a terrific offensive line. They've got those big guys up there, those big road graders, just clearing spots and moving guys out the way and allowing those running backs to run rampant there. And really, we've seen some great talent from the running back position, such as Jonathan Taylor.
yeah, I was about to. Yeah, that's exactly
And
where I was going. That's exactly where I was going.
and before him, Melvin Gordon is been a very good running back at the NFL level here for several years now. Before Melvin Gordon, I mean, you had a lot of hit or misses with like the Ron Danes and the Monty Balls and a lot of those kind of guys that still managed to make NFL rosters and be backups and practice squad guys and help teams out there, but not necessarily star players at the position.
No, absolutely. They did well in this game. Pound the rock. 159 yards on the ground for Wisconsin. Only one touchdown offensively though, and thank God their defense pulled through for them. Because otherwise, Arizona State could have very well beat them if it wasn't for our defense. Or either we're looking at a 13-13 going into OT type of game, and then at what point, if both offenses become stalemate, one of these defenses has to step up, and luckily Wisconsin's did. So, allow that to be a saving grace for Wisconsin. But yeah, this wouldn't be one. This wouldn't be one I'd be running around bragging about. This would be one where I'd be like, just barely got it.
I kept my parlay alive, and we're moving on. My parlay alive, and we're moving on.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I liked it a lot. Let's go ahead and head on over to some action that dropped yesterday on the SportsMe app, coming from our partners again over at BetQL.
Nick Ashew here from BetQL and CBS Sports Radio, and it is time for the Browns to move on from Baker Mayfield. I would be all in on Russell Wilson this offseason if I'm the Browns. Whatever it takes. Imagine Russell Wilson with that offensive line, those weapons.
The Browns still have a lot of holes to fill in. That's not exactly a win-now roster.
I don't think that Cleveland's going to move off Baker just yet. Way too much invested in the former number 1 overall pick.
I'm not going to say I hate it. As Mr. Wisconsin, I'd love to see Russell Wilson thrive, and even more as a 49ers fan, I'd love to see him out of my division.
Yeah, so Baker's interesting. Obviously, this year has not been great, and some prior years have not been great either.
Can he be above average quarterback? Yes. Can he lead the team to Super Bowl? Probably not.
Don't know if there's a free agent for them. So I think Baker next year, after that, time to kick the can.
Quarterbacks go there to die, or they're drafted there and their careers end before they start.
Kind of think Russell Wilson is washed.
So some interesting takes there, and I've got some thoughts. So I'll go ahead and just kick that one off while you find that take that you're looking for there, because looks like Sam sparked some thoughts there. But this is that Browns roster. I get that they went out and they tried to spend a lot of money on that defensive side of the ball. That defense hasn't played great all year long. That offensive line is terrific at running the ball. You know what they don't do very well? Protecting the quarterback. They're not a very good pass offensive line there. Okay, guess what Russ has been mad at for the last decade playing in Seattle, and it hasn't been that long, but it feels that way. But he's been one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the beginning part of his career. So hey, I got an idea. Let's take a guy that is unhappy about the amount of times that he's been sacked over his career, move him to a squad where the offensive line allowed Baker Mayfield to get sacked 6 times in that game. And oh, by the way, you're playing in the AFC North now, where they all have very good defenses. They all have good defensive lines. They all get after the quarterback exceptionally well. And So that was one of those that, I know that everybody was calling for Baker and saying that wasn't looking good. But for anybody that watched the Monday night cast and listened to the commentators on that, there was a very interesting one where they're talking about, really just the love affair that they had going with Ben Roethlisberger and the hate affair that they had going with Baker Mayfield. And if you actually watch the quarterback play there, those two quarterbacks played pretty similar throughout.
Very similar.
Very similar, right? Like Big Ben was not stellar in that one. I get it was his last game at Heinz Field, all of that stuff, but you threw the ball over 40 times and you racked up 123 yards through the air. Your run game got more yards than your passing game did. And oh, by the way, they didn't run the ball 46 times. Like they threw the ball. So like the fact that they were going on and on and on about that, and I get Baker made some bad throws, made some bad decisions, things like that.
But he also had receivers drop blatant right in their hand passes as well, so that didn't do him any justice either.
Right, you're going to talk about that that the Browns are loaded weapons and all of this and all that.
They have no receivers.
They have an absolute better running game than Seattle does. I'll give them that one. Nick Chubb over Rashad Penny or Chris Carson any day. Absolutely. I'll sign off on that one. But you cannot in any world tell me that Jarvis Landry, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Rashad Higgins, Austin Hooper, David Njoku is better than DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett.
Fuck no.
Like it's just not going to happen.
No.
So,
No.
like I get the narrative that they're trying to paint there, but it just no, we're not even close on this one.
Jarvis needs to get the hell out of there.
Mhm.
Like straight up. It's not that I don't not like the idea of Russ in Cleveland, but like TVG said, I think that the safest thing for the Browns to do right now is to stay put with Baker. Because he's never had a consistent. It's always been rotating coaches or coordinators, so that's never been a help for him.
Been playing hurt all this season.
Been playing hurt all season,
and not just a little hurt, like actually like really hurt and trying to move through it. Got a harness on his non-throwing, and you can tell me all about the fact that it's in his non-throwing, yada yada yada. But that harness is changing your motion as far as releasing the ball.
Yeah,
so
all of that. This is connected. So I mean, anyone that's going to argue that, it's like, bro, go bench, go bench, and like, and you feel like everything in here, you feel like how all of these systems are connected. Reach up and tell me you don't feel anything over on this side, like you do. Your muscular structure is connected.
Better yet, put that harness on and try and throw the ball, and tell me that it's not a different motion that you've got to make.
Exactly, it's a completely different motion. It's a completely different motion. But on top of that, the receiver that you paid the big money for to bring in, he was a diva, and he was hurt most of his games that he was employed by that organization. So like he leaves, now he really has no one that he could throw the ball to, no one that he could trust, no one that he can, make anything happen with. Baker's now back to not having receivers again. It's no. You're a run first offense because you have to be, and because, well, that's how Stefanski run shit, but because you have to be.
Right. Well, and so I've followed Baker all the way back to Oklahoma. And when he won a Heisman, what kind of offense Oklahoma runs, as much as they like to be touted as this quarterback thing and having all these great receivers and all that, they run the ball exceptionally well. They have a great offensive line, and that's typically two things that they do really well and have done really well for a long time. So you set up the run first, you establish the run, you let that do. Nick Chubb was having really good runs on that thing, and they just pretty much abandoned the run game. I don't understand why they did that. They must have had something, some sort of information that we don't, where Nick Chubb's a great running back and you've got a really good running line there. So, but hey, I got an idea. Let's take our quarterback that's hurt and make him sit back there and try and throw the ball almost 40 times in a game, and let's against a good pass
Pass defense.
against a good pass defense and good rush, pass rush on that one. The Steelers have not been good against the run all year. So to abandon
No.
the run game early, like that one didn't make any sense to me. The fact that you get rid of OBJ, send him to the Rams, and people are talking about the resurgence of OBJ. Again, he hasn't looked that good on the Rams.
No.
It's the
It's
fact
just
that he's now the second or third option in the pass game there. And when he was traded there, he was set to be the third or fourth option in the pass game to it. So you've got all the pressure off of this thing. And by the way, the receiver opposite of Odell Beckham has been breaking records this year and is on pace to break more records here
Triple
this coming
crown.
weeks. Yeah, like
Triple crown.
he's having a receiver like we haven't seen a receiver have in many, many years.
Exactly. Exactly. Like Russ to Cleveland. No, I think that they stay put with Baker. They get Baker weapons. Too much has gone into Baker being a piece of Cleveland. Like if Baker falters next season, I could maybe see them going with Baker, free agency. But like I said, two things are happening right now.
Right.
Bets are retiring, and this isn't a quarterback class.
No, and you look at the fact too. Baker's. This is he just completed his third year, or was he just coming off his fourth year? I can't remember at this one. So fourth year. So he's got a fifth year option, right? Tell me another quarterback that you can go out and sign this year that's going to have a price tag of $20 million or less. Because I believe that that's about what his fifth year option is going to be, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $19.5 million, something like that. So you know what kind of quarterback you can get for around $19 to $20 million a year? Cam Newton would take that.
Yeah.
Is Cam Newton gonna fix that offense? No.
No.
At this point, I'd probably argue that Baker's probably a better quarterback for that system than Cam is.
Oh, he is. Oh, he certainly is. He just needs to get healthy. Two, get him fucking receivers, please. Like just get him receivers. Just
Teddy Bridgewater. You could probably get him for around that price. Although I think Teddy Bridgewater has a bigger price tag than Baker would next year.
You're going to get the same thing. You're going to get the same thing.
Yeah.
You're going to get the same thing.
Yep. Except for the fact that Baker's willing to pull the ball down and run into somebody. Teddy's long since abandoned that as part of his game there. And Teddy's just going to take the safe throw and move the ball. So you saw how well that one worked out for Denver, whose defense is actually really good. They were able to still establish the run game, and they just couldn't put enough points on the board to win games to make it to the playoffs. So again, I think you're in the same boat. So I'll get off my soapbox now because I can keep going forever on this one.
Dude, no. I'm you and I both. Yeah. I don't think that people really thought before, breaking it down. I mean, and just the whole Russ washed thing.
That one was
fucking blows my mind. That blows my mind.
So, I mean, we'll see what that looks like. Russ didn't look great coming back off the injury, but he also came back, I believe it was 2 or 3 weeks earlier than what the initial timeline was on that thing. So over the last couple of games, we've started seeing Russ get back to more Russ to it. And so I'd be very excited to see what that looks like over, given an off season to fully let that thing heal up, get the mechanics, get the motion back, get back in the flow of things. And so
get to a new team.
Yeah. And to a new team, right? Like you're talking, I just mentioned Teddy Bridgewater. Sign me up for Russ coming to Denver. Like that would be a scary proposition, right? Like Denver is legitimately at this point one quarterback away at this point.
That one's tough for me. That one's tough for me. So you're right, but I don't think the wife lets that fucking happen.
Probably not.
Like I'm gonna be real with you on that. Like that's where I'm like, oh, Denver ain't happening. They ain't gonna do something.
No, it likely isn't. But Aaron Rodgers to Denver is still more likely to happen between those two. But even from the reports coming out there now, I don't know that Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay.
He's not leaving.
Yeah, like they seem to have fixed whatever was broken in that relationship this season. So, but But yeah, so very interesting thought process there, and we'll get far more into this as the offseason rolls along. Let's go ahead and talk about trying to fix another team now, and we saw them play opposite of Baker here at this Monday night game. Oh, come on, computer, you can do it.
All right, so like we did yesterday, we're going to fix that team because here on SportsMe, I know that we have some of the smartest, some of the best sports geniuses out there, so we're going to fix some teams. We started with the NFC yesterday with the Minnesota Vikings, like Lizzo. Now we're going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, everyone's talking about Ben Roethlisberger. What are they going to do now that Ben Roethlisberger is retiring? Let me know.
The biggest thing they need to do, obviously, is find a new quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger is basically last guy on the quarterback list before it got to like garbage tier and rookies. And it's tough to see careers wind down like that.
Sign Aaron Rodgers. No rebuild. Draft a bunch of linemen, and here we go.
Maybe trade for Jimmy G. You have Andy Dalton. You have Nick Foles. One of those guys, maybe.
Super Dave bringing some good points there. But
Super Dave brought up the best points out of all the ones that we heard.
The Steelers aren't a quarterback away at this point.
No,
they're not. The Steelers are an offensive line, a quarterback away for sure. That defense is still pretty legitimate, pretty good there. They did allow a lot of rushing yards, and they did allow the run to get established against them quite a bit this season, far more than I think anybody had expected coming into this year. But when it's all said and done, Big Ben was part of the problem, but that offensive line was just as much of an issue with that.
Yep.
And they didn't really address that this last offseason. They let a lot of their vets go. A lot of their vets retired. Like that offensive line went downhill quick, fast, and in a hurry. And if you're Pittsburgh, if you've got Najee Harris, put an offensive line in front of him. Let get some road graders in there. Let it clear a pass for him. Let him do that. Play behind that defense. You can win a lot of games in the NFL if you're able to establish the run and play behind a solid defense that doesn't give up many points. And by the way, the Steelers defense still has the ability to give up less than 20 points a game. So, 14 to 20 points, like they can legitimately do that next season with that roster that they've got. And if you can control the clock, shorten that thing down, put a running back, let your first round running back just, blow teams away. You can do it. We've seen teams do this a lot recently with a guy behind a guy like Derrick Henry. And oh, by the way, Najee Harris, Derrick Henry are not that dissimilar as far as builds go and running style goes, except for the fact that Najee has much better hands when it comes to catching the ball.
And if you remember, it took Derek a minute to to get acclimated, to game speed and like really break out.
Yeah, but part of that is he was still playing behind Tennessee's thought process of the all.
Yeah,
he was playing behind a bad offensive line, but he was also playing behind DeMarco Murray, who Tennessee gave the bag to after he had a couple of rushing titles to his name down there in Dallas. Went to that year in Philadelphia where they just couldn't utilize him right. Like he's a north and south runner, and let's get him in a scheme that makes him play like Shady McCoy, where it's so much east to west type of thing to get open and then get up the field. Whereas he's a one cut and go guy, run down the hill. So they were still trying to bring that thing there, and he was playing behind DeMarco Murray more so in that case. And that's a case you got the rookie or you got the guy the vet that they just gave the bag to. Well, the vet that they just gave the bag to, they're going to get the money out of that.
Yeah, no, 100%. For the Steelers, the smartest thing is to see if you can find a solid bridge QB. Don't pay. I don't think that it's. I have a feeling the Steelers will try and get a free agent quarterback. Will keep themselves in the big name talks. The Garoppolos, the Wilsons. Like I think they'll keep their name tossed in the ring. But I think the best thing for them is to find a bridge QB for now that can go ahead and take the lumps and take the hits while they build up everything else. And then when the next big free agency, roundup comes around, or the next big, draft class that has, a solid guy that you want to go after comes, then maybe that's when you go and you say, okay, We have the ability to keep a guy upright and keep a guy healthy. Now let's bring in a true talent that can help us towards a playoff push. Right now, teams like the Bengals gonna have a hold over that division for a while. Teams like the Ravens gonna have a stranglehold over that division for a while. Browns probably not going to eke one out anytime soon.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a little tough. It'll actually be interesting to see how and I guess with their win on Monday night, Mike Tomlin's career, has never had a season below 500, and that's going
No.
to remain intact this year. And so, again, like they managed to be a 500 or above 500 team, depending upon how this thing plays out here in Week 18. But when it's all said and done, and by the way, they still have a hope of a playoff spot, believe it or not, when it's all said and done here. I don't think it happens, but
Yeah.
as bad as that team has been on offense, as anemic as the quarterback play has been, as inept as sometimes the running game seems to be going because of they're playing behind an offensive line that can't open up a hole for them. They're still finding a way to win games, and that speaks to how well that defense has been put together, and the fact that you can win games if you can chew up the clock, control turnovers, and simply not allow the other team to score a ton of points there. And I think that's going to be their model that they look for going forward on this one. Build through the line. This draft is how I would imagine that they do this thing. Try and get that. And then I think you're right. I think probably the next year they go out there and they really try and make a splash either in the draft, trying to get a big name quarterback coming out there, because that 2023 class is much, much better than this 2022 class. Or you look at them trying to bring in a bigger name free agent there, to the point where it's honestly not going to surprise me if we see them roll out like the Dwayne Haskins or the Mason Rudolph or the backups that they
I
currently
don't think
have
they
for
do
1
that.
year.
I don't think that they do that. I don't think they commit to any of those guys. I'm going to be completely honest.
I don't think they commit to them, but I think that they could look at that going, you know what, we've got these guys on the roster for not much money. We've put together a winning season with, a bad quarterback play the last couple of years. But hey, Pittsburgh, I imagine Teddy Bridgewater would be available if you called the Broncos.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think they do something more along the lines of that.
And I'm sure the Broncos would say, sure, a 5th round pick, 4th round pick, let's get this thing done, because they improved upon some of that draft capital that they gave away to bring Bridgewater in. And Bridgewater actually would make a lot of sense for that team if you can put a decent offensive line in front
Send
of
Drew
him.
Lock. No, keep Bridgewater, then send Drew Lock.
Or Drew Lock. I don't think I've got other thoughts on Drew Lock. But if you're looking to try and win, there's a reason that Teddy Bridgewater has been the starter all year in Denver.
Well, yeah, I mean,
outside of injury.
Bridgewater gets them the win. Like, yeah.
But yeah, I think the Broncos are going to be going heavy after a quarterback this offseason, and I think they're going to really be pushing for the free agents, the trades, that kind of stuff, to the point where I think they keep Drew Lock and potentially try and ship Bridgewater, because of the fact that Drew Lock, you're still on a rookie contract on a 2nd-round rookie deal. You're not paying him near the type of money that you would be paying Bridgewater to be a backup.
So. Hell no. He hasn't done shit to even ask for any more money.
No.
So
No, but that's always interesting being here in Denver and how many Drew Lock truthers there are out there, and going through that one. So I know that you've experienced that a bit out here as well. So
they're everywhere.
They are. They don't seem to watch the game much, but they certainly do like Drew Lock out there. So always interesting. But well, Robbie, I'm out of videos here to go through, which means it's probably about time that we start winding down the weekly wind up here. But what final thoughts do you have for the viewers and listeners out there?
Don't be an AB, okay? Don't quit on your teams. Put on your team. All right. I'm shocked that we didn't have a video about that in here.
Well, that was the cash game today. Was AB. So I'm sure next week we'll have some AB content on here. But cash game is up. Cash game is back for the new year. head over to the SportsMe, download it, and you can win yourself some wonderful cash via SportsMe through the cash game. Remember, your take is your buy-in.
See y'all later.
Have a great one. He's Robbie. I'm Derek. Bye.